Welcome back to the OPL. My name is Michael Hingazing, and I'm joined here at the analyst desk by Raz, and also Rusty has subbed in for reasons that will become clear to you very, very soon. If you've just joined us, we are midway through a three-way tiebreaker between Abyss, Tainted Minds, and Avant-Garde. We just saw Tainted Minds kind of go down in that first game, but what we're about to see is them maybe try and pull it back now as they face Abyss. Let's start with you, Raz. What do you want to see from Tainted Minds, given that they are not feeling particularly confident after that first game?
We talked about it a little bit in the last, so pretty much we just round out your draft. That works out for them. Refresh your mind, because that was a I don't want to use spawns shellacking.
You've used it.
I've used it, so damage is done. But yeah, just pretty much go back to it. It's gonna be pretty rough for them, but it's a must win for them.
Well, Rusty, you've just joined us here on the analyst desk. I mean, is there stuff you want to say to Tainted Minds if they're watching? I mean, obviously they're not watching right now, but you know.
If they were watching.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, I think the scary thing to me is that Avant, their opposition, actually had 5 of the best champions in their respective roles, and Tainted Minds just put together this ragtag team composition that in theory works for them. But if you have to lane against other people, you're just going to lose that game in slow motion. So really just have a defined purpose, draft for that purpose, but also make sure you don't lose in the first 5 minutes before you actually get there.
Well, this is the first time tonight we're going to be seeing work from Abyss. Raz, talk a bit about them. What are they going to be trying to achieve as they go into this game with Tainted Minds?
That's a good point. Right now, Abyss is a team. They play pretty meta. Like really, honestly, they're really open in picks, maybe too open. So right now, I just want to see them play. Not Janna. Like that's
I know what you mean, yeah.
Exactly. So they can do a lot, and I think that they're one of the front runners other than Avant.
Sure. Rusty, what do you want to see in this game?
So just to highlight the point you make, they do play meta, and 2 meta is spot on simply because the fact they play Janna is a team decision, but T-Gun's not a Janna player. T-Gun is a Blitzcrank main. Let's be perfectly honest. He wants to be aggressive. He wants to be in your face and forward. Karma is what suits him if you're going to put him on something passive. So Abyss need to round out their actual strategy once again, hit that drafting phase like they mean business, but don't put your players onto weird things.
Right. Do we expect to see anything surprising from either of these teams in this round, or do you think they're just both going to play standard compositions? They're both going to play pretty,
I mean, Avant just pretty much dominated with their composition, and it was fairly standard, right?
Yeah.
They got pretty much everything they wanted. So I think Avant's going to go into this pretty confident, and I want to see basically Abyss just simplify their composition, make it easier for themselves, especially with a 1 game. Just it's best of 1.
I mean, Tainted Minds at a big disadvantage in the second game, so they need to actually either hit the drawing board, maybe pull out a bit of goo to try something crazy if they really feel like their backs are against the wall, given the substitute of Bella is in there. But on the flip side, Abyss Esports, they've been waiting for this moment. The stars aligned to even give them a shot actually in playing in these tiebreakers. They want to play stock standard and just outclass.
Now, just to be clear, Tainted Minds in that first game of this tiebreaker, they lost their bans. Is that across this game as well?
No, it shouldn't be. Lost is actually back in. I just got told. So,
okay,
yeah.
cool. All right. So they're going to have their bands back in. So we're looking at a full strength composition this time.
And something just like a small point about bans, right? It's like, especially if you're focusing on one kind of composition going for you, losing bans, or at least having the enemy team lose bans, that can really psych you out. So now that they're going into this set, Tainted Minds that is, with pretty much set bans, everything strategy can go through, going into pick, at least they're gonna have that.
I mean, and Abyss though, given they've just watched Tainted Minds and how they play in this round robin, they look at them now. There's going to be a substitution in. Lost is back in. I mean, what are they thinking now? Are they going to go right? We have an initial plan. We'll stick to it, or are they going to try and say, look, this team we don't know what they're going to do. Let's just go.
I mean, the substitute coming in the first place was a little bit crazy, but now they're back to standard. So all of the preparation that they had is set up, ready to go.
All right, let's go straight into predictions then. Raz, what are your thoughts on this? Are you boys Tainted Minds going to get back in this with this game, or do you think it's going to be a washout now?
Yeah, Raz, are they?
I'm going Tainted Minds. They have lost that. They have their groove back.
I've worked it out. Now you just go for Lost. You don't go for Tainted Minds.
No, I go for
Lost
Tainted.
Is there?
Right.
Hey, if they lose one member, I'm just going. Then I'm off the train.
All right, Rusty, what are your thoughts? Abyss or Tainted Minds in this best of 1?
Abyss Esports, a clean 30-minute victory.
Ooh, all right. Well, that is enough from us here at the analyst desk. Let's hand it over to your casters who you might recognize from earlier this evening. Well, one of them at least. It is Spawn and Fish.
Thank you very much, Hingers. You know that desk? Forgot that I was on previously. You know, Raz is stealing your words. Something's going wrong tonight, Spawn.
Yeah, they need to check themselves a little bit at the moment. I mean, Rusty firing out my shots as well with clear 30-minute victories. They've had a little bit of an existential crisis over there.
They certainly have, but we still have 2 more tiebreakers at play in this first round robin between the 3 teams, and it is going to be Tainted Minds taking on Abyss in just a bit. Tainted Minds is a do or die for them at the moment if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive, as the Abyss also looking to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and one thing I've always complimented about Tainted Minds is that they do have a really strong leadership group, and if any team in the OPL can bounce back from what was, a disappointing game just then, I really do think it is this organization. They support their players well. Rosie's a fantastic leader. Zahi's a fantastic leader, so looking forward to seeing them bounce back.
They've also got Lost back on their lineup for this second match, which is against Abyss, as we headed to Champion Select for their match. Bard already being banned out by Abyss. Tainted Minds taking Azir off the board with their first ban for tonight.
Yeah, and I really do think Azir is key because Tainted Minds can play a little bit down and dirty at times, and it gives Abyss the most structure. Luch is a very good Azir player, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them just triple tap in there and see what they can get done elsewhere on the map.
And they've added another one of those mage bans to the list as Vladimir's been taken off the table, and LeBlanc being targeted out towards Omni is going to be taken away by Abyss.
Yeah, and it's so funny because Omni, when he came into the OPL, was known as that assassin player, and we haven't really seen him, in my opinion at least, enough on those picks. We see him play a lot of control, so would like to see him try and take it to Luch. They need to generate a second winning lane because we've seen that Praedyth, young player, can at times struggle with the pressure.
We see 2 of the picks coming out from last game being banned out here in this match, as Gangplank being taken away by Abyss, as well as Karma being banned out by Tainted Minds.
Yeah, Malzahar notably still up and available, but looks like right now they want Braum potentially. Something that has risen internationally to popularity, and I know that teams like the Chiefs certainly like to pick it up as a first pick as well.
And it is going to be picked up as a first pick for Abyss, so going to be locking in their support for Tegan.
This is a couple of games in a row we've seen teams on blue side actually just go with a support pick. We used to see it in open metas, when there was lots of power picks running around. We are getting back towards that, especially with some mid lane power picks at the moment. So Braum can play against range, can play against melee incredibly well, can be aggressive or defensive, and isn't bad in lane swaps, as we've seen so many times. So I like the generic pick there, and now it's up to see whether Tainted Minds do play the likes of Malzahar. Looks like they don't.
Speaking of those power picks, so they do go for Jhin as their AD carry of choice, and Cassiopeia is going to be locked in most likely for Omni in the mid lane.
Yeah, so Cassiopeia has seen increased play. Against Malzahar especially, the movement speed really helps you get in there, knock the passive off, and then get the heck out of dodge. And there is an audio and visual cue before Malzahar's ulti comes out, which means that Cassio can slam her ult in between the particles and disrupt that combo. We saw in the Chiefs game earlier this week, Swiffer was able to do it for a solo kill. Want to see whether this is something that, Abyss is aware of and don't want to run the matchup. Mel's still outranges greatly and has better pick potential in my opinion, and scales like a monster. But both of them being relatively low mobility mages does catch them out.
We even saw the potential of how Cassiopeia can change those huge team fights like we saw earlier today with Legacy taking on Direwolves. Choo-Choo's use it pretty well.
Choo's is a great Cassiopeia player. I think it's by far his best champion right now. And, we'll see whether Omni can replicate that success.
On the flip side, Abyss, they're going to be locking in Gragas as their jungler of choice, as Raid is going to be taking Sivir to the Rift to pair up with Tegan's Braum.
Ooh, and this is really dangerous because I hate being outranged in Jhin lanes. Jhin can be quite obnoxious with the right support, and Rosie is a master at playing things like Leona and stuff that can be hard engage, as well as things like Zyra that can poke you out. So I think this is a little bit of a gauntlet thrown here by Raid and Tegan. See whether they want to lane swap away from Jhin, who is very much that lane bully, especially when it's on a proficient AD carry like the man staring at you on the screen right now, Lost, who has subbed back in.
We'll have to see what Tainted Mind's going to pick up doing then for their next 2 picks here. Still a lot of very powerful picks left open and available, especially in the jungle after Gragas was taken away by Abyss. Rek'Sai comes to mind as one of those picks that are left up. They're still taking a lot of time here, as it seems like they're going to be going with Elise and Janna as their next 2 picks.
Ooh, the Janna is interesting. As I said, I really do think Rosie's better at going forward than backwards as a support. Don't get me wrong, very versatile player. So when I say better, it is really better. It's not like he's bad at one style. I do think that Zahi is going back to a crutch here. This is a pressure moment, and he's at least has been something that he's played quite a lot lately. I think that he's a fine Elise player. Rek'Sai would have been great. See whether he can get some early gank pressure into either the Cassiopeia lane or maybe even the Jhin lane and see if he can help it out.
Unfortunately, the release wasn't enough for them to pick up their last match against Avant-Garde. Hopefully, Zahi be able to have a different performance here in their second match, against Abyss.
And I talk about this all the time. You know, there are some matches that are hard to just scrub out of the memory, right? The ones that really hurt. And then there are some matches that are relatively easy to let go. I feel like last match, even though it was very important, should be relatively easy to let go. We didn't have our 80 carry. Our draft wasn't great. You know, we got behind early and they blew us out of the water. Okay, hard reset going into a new opponent in Abyss Esports. I really do feel that, you know, even though he didn't win last time, I don't think that's really going to bother Zahi all that much.
Abyss are going to be locking in their final 2 picks coming onto the Rift here. As Victor and Trundle are going to be the 2 final picks that come out here. Trundle up into the top lane, Victor heading into that mid lane.
Yeah, so kind of a 4-1 composition here. I mean, they don't have the best engage unless Seb really can get in there and start up the team fights. But, you know, whenever you have a Trundle and a Sivir, you can kind of make do and you can really be those scrappy team fighters. I think that falls a little bit too far into TM's category, to be honest. They're a better scrappy team, in my opinion, than Abyss. Abyss are great when they get to set up. So we'll see whether they're able to make it work with something like a 4-1.
Tainted Minds are going to be locking in Irelia as the final pick for Praedit up in the top lane to take on that Trundle.
Yeah, I was worried we were going to get an Aurelia. I would have preferred to see the Fiora. I mean, Prey's a great Fiora player. Aurelia, he's also quite handy at, and we'll see whether he's able to win out on that matchup. It's one of those back and forward ones, right, where whoever gets to their first real spike can start to take over and dominate that matchup. And if Aurelia gets far enough ahead, she goes for cheeky builds, things like the Ghost Blade or the Bork, and then it really ruins Trundle's day. I mean, you can't really use the ultimate in a way that you want to. You want to force her into defensive items nice and early. So we'll see how Praedith plays this matchup.
So we're going to see probably the 4-1 coming out from this. What can we expect from Tainted Mind's side on the Rift?
I just love the long-range initiation. I mean, I talk about it all the time, but Jhin is enough to light up a team across the map. So I really do expect that they're going to start with these long initiation, these siege ups, and then if you ever dive into a Janna Cassiopeia, the day is going to go horribly wrong. So I think they have a much better 5v5 team fight, and even a little bit better pick out of Tainted Mind. So this is going to be a difficult one for Abyss to try and navigate.
Well, they've got Lost back on the lineup as well. The superstar AD carry for Tainted Minds is returning to the Rift for their second match against Abyss Esports. So let's see how this one goes. We head on to Summer Rift shortly, but use those hashtag AE win or hashtag Tainted Minds win, TM win on Twitter to tell us who you're supporting in this 3-way tiebreaker. This is going to be an exciting match spot.
Yeah, it certainly is. You can see them on your screen there. Once again, this is a really big test for Zahi and Praedith. Seb, Pac-Man, they've started to step up. They are the veterans on the Abyss Esports lineup. And, you know, they've only got better as the season's gone on. Praedith and Zahi really need to prove that they deserve that 4th spot.
Well, let's see if Praedith and Zahi can do just that. All 3 teams here that are playing in the final tiebreaker for tonight are fighting for that 4th and final playoff spot in the OPL playoffs. And they're definitely trying here, Spawn.
Yeah, they certainly are. And, you know, Tainted Minds is do or die. I mean, this is an organization was kind of founded on it. They snuck in with a late boot camp. They had been playing so well. They're even able to take out Avant-Garde in the weeks to come. So really looking forward to see how they take on Abyss.
Abyss on the other side of the Rift. This is their first game of the night. They still have one more to play later, which will be against Avant-Garde, who are currently 1-0 after picking up their first match against Tainted Minds as we head onto Summoner's Rift for the match between Abyss Esports and Tainted Minds.
This is really cute out of Abyss. I like when teams do this. You can sneak your Braum in by pushing up with a member. Zahi now caught out.
And a little bit of trouble gets tagged by Wintersby's wall as the exhaust. The body slam coming out from Gragas, not going to connect, but Zahi has to flash over the red buff wall. Seb's going to continue chasing him down. Body slam might come back up, but Omni's here. There's the boomerang flash coming out from Raid, and Raid will pick up first blood.
And as I said, I love when members do that. You can sneak people through mid lane, get them into the brush, and people don't expect it. Tainted Minds fall straight into the trap. They want to get Zahi into that choke so he has vision of the brush, but he doesn't expect the people below him. Really nicely played out of the Abyss Esports lineup.
On top of that, they've moved into the red side of the jungle, already put down 3 great wars to try and spot out any lane swap shenanigans coming out from Tainted Minds.
Yeah, certainly have. They're going to know where the jungle is starting. Looks like they are going to head into standard lanes. This is dangerous only for the reason that a flash was burnt and an exhaust was burnt. Nothing was burnt out of Tainted Mind's bottom lane. So if Zahi can get down there early, you know, maybe pick up a double kill or something along their lines, there is a brief window of hope for the Tainted Mind's AD carry and duo lane to just go crazy.
Well, let's see what Zahi can do on the Rift here. If we take a look at the mid lane, Omni and Luch already trading back and forth between this Victor and Cassiopeia. You can also see Raid did not opt to go back to base and pick up an extra item, still sitting on the Doran's blade.
Yeah, so once again, as I said, that's a good start for Raid. but this can go horribly wrong. I mean, at least jungles so quickly already. Gragas is going to have a difficult time matching the health and tempo because he doesn't have things like the Spiderlings to tank it for him. And they are such a potent 2v2 lane in the Jhin and Janna.
It's Predator from Pac-Man go toe-to-toe up in the top side. Map Trundle getting the best of that trade as the Ghost is being burnt in the mid lane. Exhaust going down on towards the Cassiopeia. These two mid laners are definitely out for blood here, Spawn.
Great trade out of Omni there, actually. You know, he's able to get the exhaust out. That leaves the Victor open for a couple more ganks, and he's got the wave slightly over, so that's going to stack up back in his favor. He'll be able to safely farm underneath his turret. Excited about this matchup. Omni and Luke, we heard a lot about the two young mid laners. Here we go.
Here's Zahi looking for a gank on towards Luch. Already used that flash. Doesn't throw out the cocoon, but just forces the extra summoner spell away from the Victor.
Yeah, so once again, you know, as we said, lane reversing. Luch has got a lot of pressure on him to reverse it. We know that Luch doesn't like to be frozen off farm. He's even cancelled a recall for that exact reason. So got to respect the decision making there. And they've still got it pushing back towards Omni. A repeat gank is definitely on the table.
And he's is slightly up in terms of CS against Luch as well, especially with that wave crashing on towards his turret. You see Zahi out of mana, but has made his way towards his own blue buff, now on the bottom side of the map. Gragas waiting just behind Luch in case he at least decides to make a return pick.
Yeah, and this is a good move out of Seb. I mean, we've complimented his jungling all season. Really is much more of a counter ganking, you know, vision jungler than what would be a pathing jungler, or, you know. So we'll see how that one works out. But Tainted Minds as a lineup right now, ooh, that's a lot of damage. Have actually done a really good job of controlling their waves. They're making sure that they're up nice and aggressive, then pushing back into them when they think Seb might be on the bottom side of the jungle. And really, it's only the top lane, who even now has just built up a CS lead, that was getting slightly behind.
You can see down at the bottom lane now, looks like Loss is getting a little work done on towards Raid. We saw that little burst of damage he got with the crit shot earlier. And slowly pushing that wave towards Sivir and Brom's turret. Zahi now making his way down towards the bottom side of the map as well.
Yeah, and here we go.
Raid actually going to get caught out here, using the
No
spell
spell
shield to
shield.
block it. Zahi is looking for that cocoon, lands on towards T-Gun. Just takes a little bit of damage in return.
Yeah, actually took a lot of damage, and they still have position to maybe look to be aggressive underneath this turret. Summoner spell is back available for T-Gun, but not for Raid in the form of that flash. Instead, they'll just back away. I want to see what build we see out of Rosie here. I mean, Ardent Sensor with the shields could be really good for Praedyth as well as Lost. Gives a lot of extra combat stats here, except maybe looking for a game.
Definitely is posturing for one in the mid lane. Waiting just behind the Raptor camps of Omni's jungle, but Luch's lane is pushing in towards the Cassiopeia's turret pretty quickly.
And this is what we're talking about. I mean, Tainted Minds, every single lane has got their lane in a pretty okay position. See where the Prey can outplay here.
So looking to try and get the body slam down, but the pillar comes out and stops that one. The slow will come out from the barrels. Prey that does get the slowdown, gets chomped up. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Luch actually in a bit of trouble, gets cocooned up here. The flash for Omni get more damage now, picks up the kill in the mid lane.
Fantastic work out of Omni. I mean, he burns a summoner spell early. Not sure it was needed, but the mindset is there, Fish. They want to stay aggressive in this mid lane and really punish Luch for every CS. They get in there before the summoner spells are back available, and they pick up a return kill.
Zahi immediately makes his way towards the Raptor camp of Seb's jungle after spotting him in the top side of the map. Going to be picking up a little bit of extra gold for himself as well.
And look at the change in mindset even from Zahi. Last game, Chelby all over his jungle, counter-jungling repetitive. This time, gets the kill, ducks into Seb's jungle, takes away a couple of sneaky Raptors. You know, as I said, Zahi, big confident player. Rosie, big confidence player. They need to start building off this momentum.
They certainly have. You can see Zahi, his first back to base, picked up the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. Lots of cooldown reduction, lots of extra movement speed as well for him to get those ganks off in the jungle. As Praedyth going toe-to-toe against Pac-Man again, immediately flashes away from the Trundle.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-Man ding 6 on that creep as Praedyth was just starting in. That's a little bit of bad luck. And Praedyth, you know, he can see now the bottom half of his map is starting to win. He was doing a good job in terms of CS, and when he catches this wave, he'll be fine as well. So he doesn't want to be that liability this game. Burn the flash early. You know, once again, not sure it's needed, but at least the mindset's there for Tainted Minds now. You can see how much this game means to them.
And something we see a lot of players not do too often, use their summoner spells nice and early. So
yeah, exactly right. If you think you're going to die, don't wait until you're sure you're going to die before you flash away. I mean, just burn the summoner spell and give you the most chance you can to get out of it. And, you know, as I said, was that 100% necessary? No, but did he survive? Is he alive to now pick up a big reversing creep wave? Yes, and that's going to be a very good news story.
Also on full health as well as T-Gun goes toe-to-toe against Rosie just to take down the pink ward in the bottom lane. Sivir already pushing this wave out quite nicely. Raid's gone back to base, picked up a BF sword for himself, whereas the serrated Dirk did come out from Lost during his first back.
Yeah, and this is one of the danger moments. I mean, Raid actually has enough AD now to make them play purely against a minion wave. So if you are Zahi, I mean, your job is to now get down into that bottom lane and help out Lost and Rosie.
Lost actually takes a Winter's Bite to the face. Will lock up Raid in this bottom lane, but like you said, Sivir and Braum are just going to continue pushing on towards this turret.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you've already got Braum, who just nullifies so much damage to creeps. The fact that he can catch bouncing grenades, things like that, whenever he wants to. So, yeah, pressure is on. Raid, however, being aggressed on a little bit.
Shield does come out from T-Gun, blocks the crowd control that came out from Janna. No junglers on the bottom side of the map at the moment, so this is just a strict 2-on-2 between Sivir, Braum, Janna, and Jhin.
And for the first time, I mean, Omni doing something that we've criticized him of, leave the lane. I mean, he dips into Fog of War, and look how far back Raid and T-Gun have to go. We don't know where Cassiopeia is. She could be behind you. Make sure you've got that watered. You don't, you have to back away. Respect how quickly she can get down there. So I really do think that so far this game, Omni has stepped up in a massive way.
Praetor's got to be a little bit careful as the flash body slam comes out from Seb, sends the Aurelia back in towards the Troll, who picks up a kill.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Praetor. He stuck around on low health. I mean, we were crediting the young player in the fact that he was playing this one very diligently. Zahi will use this time to pick up a little bit of counter jungling again, but top turret looks like it will fall down. That's going to be a pretty big advantage at this stage of the game for Abyss.
Certainly is. So Zahi will eventually pick up that red buff. We saw Raid
teleporting back. This is always going to be a danger when there's two people still beneath your turret. Looks like he was able to chase him away. Pac-Man's a little low on mana. But it is always that call of like, you know, can I actually do this without just dying again?
So saves his turret up on the top side of the map. Teleport's still available for Pac-Man. We'll have to keep track and see if he uses his. He's going to face check into Zahi. Omni pops the ultimate as well to lock him down. Exhaust comes out. It's not even necessary there as Tainted Minds pick up another pick.
Yeah, and Pac-Man's actually teleporting back into that top lane, so they're not using any of that momentum to transfer it into the bottom side of the map. Right now, Tainted Minds can do something that they've done time and time again. Sack top lane, get Lost, get Omni ahead, and actually win this game because they're starting to build.
Well, without those teleports, Tainted Minds, and with that pick, look immediately towards the Ocean Dragon. Zahi smites someone away. Ray was looking for a steal attempt, but nicely controlled by Tainted Minds jungler.
Yeah, it certainly was. And you know, they also got the exhaust out of T-Gun on that play, important to note. Just because of how much burst damage comes out of things like Elise and Jhin, you always want to have that summoner spell available. So really, after giving away a first blood before minions had even started walking down lanes, got to give credit to Tainted Minds for pulling this one back.
And it's been fairly even between Abyss and Tainted Minds so far. It's a big match for both these teams. The tiebreaker is still in Abyss's hands. If they can pick up this win and pick up the next win against Avant-Garde, they will head into the semi-finals. Unfortunately for Tainted Minds, they are just looking for a win here and hoping that Abyss take down Avant-Garde in their final game for another round robin.
Yeah, who isn't? Just send us around again. I'll do this all night, Fish. Nothing better than tiebreakers at the end of an OPL split, especially to get into that 4th place spot. You can see that they're just starting to, you know, really slow the pace of this game. Both teams actually scale. They have very clear ways to win the game. Pac-Man is accelerated. Here we go.
He's getting jumped on by both the Aurelia and Elise. Going to lock Pac-Man down, but he's going to try and go toe-to-toe for them against them for now. Flashes away from the cocoon as well and lives to fight another day.
Yeah, it certainly does, but burns the ultimate and the summoner spell, and now they're building up the wave. They know that Seb's on the bottom side of the map. This is a dive waiting to happen. If not, they're going to force him off all of that CS. So a huge win in top lane for Tainted Minds.
Even forces Pac-Man to go back to base here. He recalls, means lots of damage will get on towards this top lane outer turret. And no teleport means that he can't get back to that lane safely. T-Gun tries to get a deep ward down on towards the Tribush. Like you mentioned, Seb is in this bottom lane looking to try and push up with the rest of Abyss.
And it's always really dangerous to dive a Janna. I mean, there is a surprising amount of sustain and shields out of the young lady, even at this part of the game. So they actually abandon it. Omni once again doing the right thing, cheating down towards bottom lane. They want to push this lane in so Pac-Man can't freeze it, but you got to give credit one more time to Zahi for getting over there.
Luch and Omni actually going to go toe-to-toe. The gravitational field locks up the Cassiopeia, who flashes and ghosts away from the victor.
Yeah, well played by Luch. Actually gets a really early exhaust out, so takes next to no damage out of Omni, who had to burn double summoner spells. Seb was right behind him. you don't want to make a play like that. Like, I've credited Omni a lot this game. This is one of the times I'll take it away from him. If your top lane's just done something fantastic, knocked down a structure, got you back in control of this game, you know your jungle is helping him out right now, don't make the solo hero play. Just go back into your lane, farm up. This is way too bigger a game to take a risk like that. Nearly bit them pretty firmly in the backside.
He's even forced to use his ultimate there, so Petrifying Gaze going to be down for quite some time as well for this Cassiopeia. Luch uses that time to head back to base, picks up his Hex Core. Cassiopeia is going to do the exact same thing now. To move back down towards the bottom lane. Raid's gone back to base, picked up the upgraded Berserker Greaves, and is just continually looking to push this wave in towards Lost and Rosie's turret.
I mean, this is something we've seen happen against Tainted Minds or Split. Just make them play against a minion lane, shove them in. They have picked a very good scaling bottom lane this time around, however. It's not like they're playing like Lucian or something like that that's a lane bully, so Jin only going to get better as the game goes on. Will go back, pick himself up a Yomu's now, so Lost not really that perturbed by it. But is something to keep an eye on as the game progresses. Seb showing himself top lane. They are here to counter gank. You can see that Luch is cheating earlier. Here we go.
Well, they're going on towards the turret, but Tainted Minds want to fight. Praether is going to be the target of focus from Pac-Man as Seb first. Cocoon lands onto the Gragas. A flash away from the pillar comes out from Praether. So turret falls. Abyss get what they were looking for.
Yeah, Praether actually playing these ones really reserved. I think they could have maybe turned that one around, especially when you look at items. There's a Sight Stone for Seb. Not really combat orientated whatsoever. Jungle item complete with Ionian Boots of Lucidity there for the Elise. However, once again, respect the call. Am I the win condition? No, I'm the Aurelia that matches a split push. Okay, fine. Let's not take any chances. Let's not give away the advantage in this game. It's only a return of a turret, and we're completely fine with trading that one out.
And with that turret falling down, means that the gold is back to dead even between Abyss and Tainted Minds, with the only factor... Actually, as soon as I say that, turret falls, so Commentator Curse just ruins me once again.
Yeah, and actually just Raid and Tigo putting in work, you know, making sure they're continually shoving that one up. Done a really nice job of taking down a turret naturally. I mean, Seb hung around for a little while whilst Zahi was in the top lane, but, you know, that's just pretty good 2v2 laning.
And we didn't get to see Zahi abuse the summoner spells burnt early between Raid and Tegan. So no advantage for Lost and Rosie in that lane just now, but they still have the Ocean Dragon to the name, but the next one will be coming back up in a minute here, which will be an Infernal Dragon. Definitely something that teams will be looking to try and fight for.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you know, Infernal is really key, especially when you have a Jhin Cassiopeia on your team. We talk about Cassio scaling all the time. You want boots early game, it kind of does hurt her because like either cooldown reduction boots or spell pen boots are like really cheap spikes for yourself. But you know, the fact that she can have a 6-item slot as the game progresses is definitely a good thing. And how much AP and how the way a passive works with Infernal Drakes is, you know, you can get quite overwhelming. We already saw it once with Choo Choo's Cassio tonight. So do you think that that will be one that they turn their attention to, especially now that Trinity Force is being picked up? Big team fighting item for the Aurelia.
Well, in 35 seconds, we definitely see if that's the case for Tainted Minds. Omni is sitting in that Abyssal Scepter as well as the tier. Seb looking to try and do a little bit of counter jungling. Not going to be taken away as Elise does get the smite down and take someone for himself.
Yeah, so that's good for Elise. I mean, she does need to get multiple spell rotations out. You can see he's sitting on a fair amount of cooldown reduction now.
As Abyss turn their attention towards the mid lane, trying to push this one out as 10 seconds till that Infernal Dragon spawns. Tainted Minds trying to rush to defend this mid lane outer turret.
Yeah, it looks like they're here in time, however, and you know, as you mentioned, it really is about jockeying for position for the Dragon. They back away now, try and get vision around the area. It's really about who blinks first. Don't give up position over your mid lane turret for it, but you have to be able to get that vision control down.
Could even see Tainted Minds are even trying to send Praetors down towards the mid lane. Trundle is still split pushing on the top side of the map quite aggressively with that Titanic Hydra. As Abyss now looking for even more good positioning. T-Gun's going to get locked down by 2 crowd control spells. The Curse of Call will come out of Lost, looking to try and get more damage. Now Omni will whiff the ultimate on the back line though. So Tainted Minds blow 2 crucial ultimates to try and force Abyss away.
Yeah, they blow 2 ultimates, but at the same time, they now have positioning over this Dragon, and they can burn through it quite quickly with the Cassiopeia. That's the call.
Well, Abyss is definitely looking to try and contest this on. Raid and T-Gun trying to go for the steal, but it will be Zahi that picks up
now
the smite.
Seb's in trouble.
He's going to have to try and flash over this wall. Immediately goes over the top. Meanwhile, T-Gun actually gets taken down by Omni. Luch tries to use his Chaos Storm to lock down the rest of Tainted Minds members, but whiffs that one as well.
Yeah, so everything just kind of missing there in that team fight fish, but importantly, the Drake does go across to the Tainted Minds lineup. They have the scaling on their side. They've got the Jhin. They've got themselves the Cassiopeia, and now they've got themselves the first Infernal Dragon.
But still, gold is dead even between Abyss and Tainted Minds. It's really those dragons that are the key difference between the two teams at the moment. As Brave, gets the winning trade there, takes away the Krug.
But they're still 400 gold up. I mean, the fact that they're down a turret, 400 gold up, and farming like absolute machines in the mid lane position especially, I mean, that is going to be a Cassiopeia that at some point in the game you have to pay attention to. I mean, they haven't really ganked it out heavily yet. There is a potential for Seb and Luch to be able to blow him up if they go there simultaneously, but, with the map starting to open up, it becomes a risk.
Well, we can see big item pickups coming out from both teams. Praethus has already picked up his Trinity Force. We already saw the Titanic Hydra that came out from Pac-Man. Gragas even picking up the Runic Echoes in the jungle. Zai is even looking towards his Hextech Proto Belt quickly here. And the 80 carries. Estus Reaver did come out of raid, so big power spike for Sivir coming up shortly.
And Praedith, he hasn't had the best split, but I'll go back to it. I love the way this young man plays League of Legends. He's against a split pushing Trundle. What do I need to do? Get me a Bork. I don't care about the team fighting component. Omni will carry that for me. I just need to be able to kill Pac-Man, and I will do that by going offensively.
Well, let's see if Praedus can do just that in his lane. Meanwhile, Abyss looking to try and take down Rift Herald for themselves. Tainted Minds are looking to try and contest for this one. They're already wrapping around the pit. They've got 5 members strong trying to contest this one away from Abyss. Does get reset as it runs out of patience.
I mean, Harold isn't like an Air Drake fish. He's on something, right? He goes to gym more often than T-Gun, and he is a buff gentleman. He hits very hard. So respect Abyss there for backing away.
Well, the buff Harold is able to make Abyss run away. Meanwhile, Tainted Minds try to use that opportunity to get some damage on towards Abyss's mid lane outer turret, chipping that one down to half. It's a good map movements coming out from Tainted Minds. They don't quite take down the objective, though.
And that's a good news story for Praedith. I mean, we've already said that he's going towards that offensive item build, looking to see if he can win the 1v1. Harold would have put that on a 20-minute hold. So the fact that, they were able to chase him off, still give the Aurelia a fighting chance up there. Everything pointing so far to a much better performance out of the Tainted Mind Org.
It certainly is. They look a lot different in game number 2 here. Against Abyss, who themselves are still holding on quite strong in this game despite losing all the elemental dragons so far. Be another ocean dragon that comes up shortly. Harold is only going to be sticking around for another 40
got
seconds.
ultimate back available. Only raid really in the mid lane, although now more coming in.
And they're trying to push for this one. Seb is trying to defend this with the help of T-Gun, who puts up the shield, gets locked down by a Cocoon, but Tainted Mind's looking to just chip away at the turret again. In fact, you can see Luch is split pushing on the bottom side of the map. Pac-Man still doing his job on the top side.
Yeah, they've gone towards a cheeky 1-3-1 all of a sudden, which is dangerous against the likes of a Jhin who can just open up with the ultimate. You can see that they're still not too worried about sending Lost down there to 1v1 Luch. 2 people that have to be in the running for Rookie of the Split, by the way. Both of them having pretty breakout seasons so far.
They certainly have. You can actually see Omni's gone back to base, picked up his Morale-Nomicon. Harold's gone back to the Rift, going back to the gym there to pick up some of those weights. Baron's going to take his place now. He's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, he skips legs today though, Baron, I don't really know where to go from there, honestly. Yeah, but...
It was your joke, Spawn. I thought you had a story to tell.
No, I had nothing after that. But Baron is going to be important. We talk about it a lot with Cassios and, things like the Elise. You can just take it so incredibly quickly and early into the game. 1 or 2 picks, or even, just a lapsing vision control or judgment could really cost a bit of esports here. So they need to keep an eye on it. They need to make sure they're staying up to where Omni and Zahi are at the same time.
Well, we already saw a Baron Rush cost the team tonight as Direwolves try to pull that one off against Legacy.
Well, let's not blame the Baron Rush on that one. Let's just give credit to Carbos where it's due and move on. I think that was a 50-50 smite that Carbon made look easy in the end.
Still dead even between Abyss and Tainted Minds. They're just grouping up around the mid lane, continuing split pushings. Abyss still implementing that 1-3-1. This time with Victor on the top side of the map. Praedith is trying to match the Trundle now on the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, but they do need to be careful with giving this to Luch because I still don't think he can outright blow up Omni. And in these long lanes, if he stays around to hit a turret, there's a chance that Omni just pops a ghost and, takes off after him like a bat out of hell. So we'll see whether that does come through. But otherwise you have to really credit how Abyss Esports have slowed down this pace and brought gold back to pretty much in their advantage.
It's going to be 30 seconds until the next dragon spawns. This time it's going to be another ocean dragon. Tainted Minds so far controlled the dragons pretty well. Abyss look like they have good control of the map at the moment, so we have to see if they can keep that one up.
Yeah, let's take a look at the items just to take stock of where we're at. It looks like 80 carries. Raids purchased recently. Lost has not gone back to shop. 15 seconds until Dragon. Probably not going to see a contest. Also, Praetor has been sitting on those components for a very long time, although now T-Gun got caught.
Yep, they've caught out T-Gun. He has to try and jump away to Seb. Again, he's going to get chunked out about 5 seconds before the Dragon spawns.
And you can
him to
see
go
that
back to
Luch is
base.
on the top side of the map. Raid all in no man's land. Has to flash.
Omni tries to wrap around, did pop the Ghost to try and get that one, but it's a crucial summoner spell burnt, and Luch is nowhere around. He can't teleport down either. Omni's going to continue trying to force them back, and once again, Tainted Minds take control of the Dragon Pit.
Yeah, there's just so much poke damage, and they can't really fight this because they're big AoE control mage top side of the map. So they give up another objective. This one they definitely should have fought for, Fish. And Abyss, I don't think they scale as well in a team fight, traditional team fight situation as Praetor. That hurts when that happens. Like 2 health, and I would have had the reset. I would have chunked him out. But, you know, that creep, he leveled up just in time. But as I was saying, I don't think they have the scaling to go in the 5v5 team fight. Eventually, these dragons will come back and bite them.
They certainly could, and like you mentioned earlier, Spawn, the turret advantages are currently in Abyss's favor, and Tainted Minds are tied up with Abyss in terms of gold, so lots of freestanding gold for them to take if they ever get a good team fight. Abyss now looking to see if they can try and siege out this mid lane, but this Spawn meta strong as they try to catch out Ray. Curtain Call will come out, just slowing T-Gun down again.
That's not just slowing anymore, that hurts. T-Gun pretty much loses the entirety of his health bar. You can see Pac-Man is starting to rotate in. They looking to group up, but they just can't pull the trigger. As we said, no easy way into these team fights unless Seb hits the God Ultimate. And they're slowly but surely whittled away this mid lane turret.
Now Tainted Minds looking to try and push down mid lane. Luch going to take a lot of damage there as he gets locked down, still sitting on the miasma coming out from Cassiopeia. Again, this turret gets chunked out. One more push from Tainted Minds should be able to take that one down.
Yeah, it certainly is looking to be the case. You can see the poke damage and the layering of the CC that is available to Tainted Minds team comp. We questioned their draft last game. You know, they had no bans, not really all that much they can do with it. This time around, however, they have put the pieces together and are starting to take over.
They're trying to push again through the mid lane. This time around, Abyss are going to try and group up. They even have Pac-Man moving towards the mid lane, opting not to try and split push with Praetor, who is still sitting as the same manager as when we checked in with him previously.
Yeah, Pac-Man's pretty much gone back and bought a whole Iceborne Gauntlet. Praetor is still sitting on his build, so you assume that he just wants to be able to pick up that Bork and start winning the 1v1. In that regard. See whether he is able to get a window to go shop.
As Raid now might be in a little bit of trouble. Forced to use On the Hunt. Doesn't get locked down by the captive audience that comes out from Jin.
But now finally they've got priority in the mid lane. Flash.
Coming out from Zahir. Forces the flash coming out from Luch in response. But Seb's going big in the mid lane. Omni's going to get locked down. The Chaos Storm dealing a lot of damage to the mid lane. The first pick comes out from Abyss, and they're looking to try and chase down the rest of Tainted Minds. Even Pac-Man joining in the mid lane puts down the pillar just to separate the team, but a good pick comes out from Abyss.
Yeah, fantastic pick there onto Omni. However, they did have to burn some big spells. Flashes out of Seb as well as Luch, double exhaust down as well. See whether they have enough to push this turret.
Tainted Minds are looking to try and wave clear as much as possible. The shield comes down on towards the mid lane outer turret. Now they're on top of it, getting some good damage down. It will fall. Abyss able to break the siege in the mid lane and pick up a small gold lead for themselves.
Yeah, so finally they've got that gold lead trickling in the right direction. They're up by 1,300 gold. However, big creep waves in the side lane mean that there is a brief window where Tainted Minds can hit back. See whether they're able to do so.
You can see Abyss already sending Luch up towards the top side of the map to deal with one of those huge creep waves. And doing the exact same thing with Pac-Man on the bottom side as Raid. Going to get jumped on by Zahir with the Hextech Protobelt, but doesn't get the stun down. They're still desperately trying to defend this mid lane outer turret.
Yeah, just wave clears for days. I mean, there's not really all that much you can do at this point in the game. You know, Grag is still relatively effective, as is your Siva, as well as your Victor. So you can understand the frustration. Praetor nearly finds Pac-Man.
Almost gets him.
Didn't have T10 style available or anything like that, so it would have been a risky fight.
Praetor does have that Blade of the Ruined King now on his Aurelia. And see on the flip side, Pac-Man's gone back to base and finally completed that Iceborne Gauntlet. So fairly even between these two top laners. Praetor's actually getting some good damage down towards the bottom lane outer turret. Now it's Luch looking to try and take down the blue buff for himself.
Yeah, and I wonder who wins the duel at this point in the game, because pretty much 2 completed items and Merc Tread Suit, you know. Teamfight boots picked up for Pac-Man. He's going for more of that team fight route as well. So there is a window right now where I think Praedyth would win the 1v1. Would be very interested to see them just throw down.
You can see more big items coming out from both these teams. Omni's picked up his Ceres Embrace. So lots of ability power coming out from the Cassiopeia now, as well as a lot of mana. Zahi probably looking for his Rhinos Crystal Scepter as his third pickup on the Elite, so lots of battle combat stats coming out for him. And even Jin picking up the Dustblade of Drakthar.
Balances the comp well. As I said, there really are, just blow people up in team fights. Very much about the damage that they can output, not really the tank portion. Normally I criticize tankless lineups, however, Tainted Minds is relatively easy to run because it's all about, getting that sieging position. If they engage on you, then you go. In saying that, Seb's already shown once that if the cast lands on a priority member, they're going to win the team fight. And I think that's going to be the story of the game. Seb needs to put his carry pants on, needs to be able to control how these team fights happen and which target he picks out.
Well, Dragons will be coming back up in a minute. So far, Tainted Minds have had good control over all of the elemental dragons. The Abyss are looking to try and push down the bottom lane inner turret as a 5-man squad.
And Lost is just sitting down bottom lane. I mean, no idea what the call is there, but this turret will fall down.
Praedyth actually looking for initiation. Seb responds with an ultimate of his own, getting lots of good damage on towards Tainted Minds. T-Gun even used his ultimate to separate the team. This turret's going to full spawn.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see whether they can actually choose to fight. No, Praedyth too low. They send it back. They actually give up another objective. Now the first meaningful gold lead fish, 3,000. Drake up in 20 seconds as well. That's just a positioning area out of Tainted Minds. You can't send your 80 carry to the top side of the map.
And actually looks like they're trying to set up a Death Brush here, but Tainted Minds are moving around towards the mid lane, looking to try and take down that tower. 7 seconds until the final Ocean Dragon is going to be spawning on Summoner's Rift as Abyss make a beeline towards that mid lane and try and catch out Tainted Minds' team, who have the eyes set on towards
Here we
Baron.
go. We said that they've got an incredibly quick Baron. They've pulled the trigger on it already, and it looks like Abyss have no idea. You have to keep an eye on Baron if you are against a Cassiopeia.
Well, it's going down. They've opted to try and commit for that Ocean Dragon. Baron has fallen. Tainted Minds pick it up, and now they're only 1,000 gold behind with a huge buff for them to use.
And they've already got double Ocean Drake, so they're ahead in the regen department, and now they finally have the tools to siege. Instant wave clear is not going to happen against those Baroned up creeps. And I think that they do win the split push right now with Praedyth going into that bottom lane, at least until level 16 comes through from Pac-Man. So a huge heads-up play out of Tainted Minds. Great shot calling.
It really feels like Abyss. They've been controlling the structures very well in this game. 4 turrets to 1, but Tainted Minds, they have been controlling the epic monsters really well in this match. 3 dragons going their way. Now the Baron, they're looking towards mid lane as Raid's going to get jumped on. The flash ultimate coming out from Omni doesn't lock down Raid or T-Gun, but forces them away from the mid lane inner turret. They're going to be able to take this one down, Spawn.
But look, once again, how much damage it does to T-Gun. He's chunked out. Raid was already chunked out. T-Gun saves his life, but sure, they have to move away from 2. All of a sudden, inside track, bottom lane, you cannot face check this team, and Tainted Minds are just on a roll.
Well, there's a cocoon on towards Pac-Man. He takes a little bit of damage, but they're just zoning him away from the bottom lane outer turret, which is going to be taken down by Praedyth. And Tainted Minds immediately look to continue pushing that bottom lane. The bottom lane inner turret now in their sights. Abyss grouped up as 5, trying to defend this one. Tainted Minds nice and healthy, chipping away at the turret wherever they can, waiting for their Baroned up minions to progress on towards the turret. Zai actually getting caught out by the pillar there, forced to repel. The ultimate coming out from Seb's not going to knock him back, but he takes a lot of damage, especially from the Chaos Storm. Another tick might take him down, but he runs towards Rosie, gets that extra movement speed and is able to back away. Abyss still on the chase though.
But you still don't want to chase this lineup. Omni turns it.
He goes in, puts the ultimate down, doesn't stun anyone up, but T-Gun's taking a lot of damage, forced to use the Locket of Iron Solari to keep himself alive, flashes away from Praedyth, who was trying to chase. Everyone from Abyss is really low, and Tainted Minds continue their push.
And one more time, I understand the theory. Go aggressive because we've chunked someone out. As ultimate comes through, T-Gun
gets sniped. T-Gun is going to get taken down as Tainted Minds just now going to crash through all these objectives.
It's still a Janna. It is still a Jin. It's still a Cassiopeia. You cannot run head first into this composition. You need the flank or the cask. A huge overcommitment there out of Abyss Esports. And what was a 3,000 gold lead for them? Now a 3,000 gold deficit.
It's a big Baron power play coming out from Tainted Minds. They even take down the red buff. Seb was looking to try and create an initiation for himself. Body slams forward. Doesn't have his ultimate available.
But you can't chase this team. I mean, look at the recurrent slow that is coming out. The fact that they've got Rosie to disengage. It's just not going to work out that way. I mean, as I said, I understand the theory. I understand the gusto. But at a certain point, you have to think, what are we actually running at? It's a lot of damage.
And with that, like you mentioned, it's almost a 4,000 gold lead for Tainted Minds off the back of that Baron play and also the pushes that came out from their team. There's still another Elemental Dragon to go before we get into an Elder Dragon, and that's another Infernal Drake. If Tainted Minds can look to try and take that one down, they're going to have lots of power coming into the late game against Abyss.
And look, RNG didn't favor Tainted Minds once tonight. However, this time around, it certainly has thrown them a little bit of a favor because when you are running a poke comp like this and you get double Ocean, and then when you have a Cassiopeia and a Jhin and you draw double Infernal when you're in control of the game, it feels pretty good, man.
It certainly does. Abyss, on the other hand, they're just holding on for their dear lives now. They look like they're trying to control the structure race against Tainted Minds, but one misplay has completely backfired for them.
Certainly has, but look, they still have power in a couple of areas. Got to look towards that Siva. The fact that she's sitting on 3 items and is 60 CS up over Lost. You know, someone that we always compliment his 80 carry play. Raid is huge right now.
For now, though, Tainted Minds looking to try and push down the top lane in a turret as they have prayed their split pushing. There's the Curtical coming out from Jhin, lands with the Luge. 3 shots going to connect. The 4th one doesn't thread the needle, but hits Seb instead. As this turret takes a lot of damage from the rest of Tainted Minds. Raid desperately trying to deal with the Baron buff minions, but Baron buff is gone. They're still looking to push it down. Lost gets the crit shot on towards the turret and takes down another objective. Raid, meanwhile, getting locked up by Cocoon, but no follow-up from Tainted Minds.
Yeah, I feel like that was a little bit of miscommunication. I mean, Zari, he just hit a Cocoon out of nowhere, threads the needle onto pretty much the priority target. And no follow-up available. However, you can still see that they got the objective they're looking for. They now have that 5,000 gold lead. One more time, you can't engage onto this squad.
Well, there's an on the hunt. Abyss are trying to go for that initiation. Seb knocks both Omni and Zahi back. Omni gets exhausted and take it down. Meanwhile, Lost is able to take down T-Gun. But Abyss get the crucial pick in that team
They
fight.
certainly do, but I mean, there should have been answers to that as well. Rosie still has Flash and Exhaust. The Monsoon was over a wall and really hard to pull off in that regard.
Well, Prey is on the opposite side of the map now, just stopping the minions from pushing on towards this turret. I don't think Abyss can take this one down without those.
Yeah, no, they can't do anything anyway. So, you know, great play out of Predator. That's twice in a couple of days. Where, you know, I heard that it was his call to go for the Baron finish push last night. I think that one was floating around Twitter a little bit. You know, now dragging the mid lane, doing his best Myron impression. Very nicely done.
Tainted Minds, though, still hold on to that 5,000 gold lead they've created for themselves. Every single outer turret's been taken down for them, so only the base is left standing for Abyss. Dragon's going to be coming back up in 30 seconds. Baron in a minute 30. So lots of objectives for Tainted Minds to try and force.
There certainly is. And one more time, you know, that was the God cast. That was a flash body for Slam into a beautiful cast from Seb. No Janna there to interrupt it. No Monsoon to reset. However, that's down.
They've T-Gun again. Zahi gets the Cocoon down on towards the Braum. Meanwhile, he's in a little bit of trouble. Forced to repel early on top of Luge. Uses the Hextech Protobelt to get away. Flash forward for Victor. Puts down the Chaos Storm as well. That seemed like a little bit of a misplay from Luge.
It certainly did. Especially, they keep burning these big ultis before team fights, and the damage just isn't sticking. Luge now in a lot of trouble.
Yep, stands on the captive audience and gets hit by the deadly flourish. Has to back away from the fight. Zahi really low, but there's the ultimate coming out from Rosie to keep him alive. Infernal Dragon does get taken down, but look at Praetor deep into the back lines. It's already taken down one. Seb's probably going to be the next target. He has Lost, goes on a killing spree, taking him down. Flash over the wall from Aurelia, stuns up the Trundle, and he's going to get taken out by Omni here. 3 big picks coming out for Tainted Minds.
And what a turnaround performance for Praetor. Gets a huge flank, takes out Pac-Man. Now looking for Luge.
Luge is in so much trouble. There's an Aurelia hunting him down, but it's not even him that picks up the kill as Omni throws the fangs into his face, and only Raid left up alive as Tainted Minds looking to just destroy Abyss's base.
10 seconds on T-Gun, 20 seconds on Seb, and 30 and 45 on the other 2 members. This just might be game.
Well, let's see if Tainted Minds can do just that. They're pushing on towards the Nexus. The first Nexus turret's going to get taken down. They're looking for the second. Tainted Minds trying to keep their playoff hopes alive as they take down Raid. They're going to be able to take down T-Gun, and they look straight for the Nexus.
What a performance out of the young organization. I'll say it one more time. This team is really built of great stuff. I've heard great things about the org, great things about the management. Rosie is a great in-game leader, and what was a horrible situation has just completely come 360.
It certainly has, and with that, Tainted Minds pick up the victory. But for now, we're going to throw it back to the desk.
Thank you, Spawn and Fish. We are now back at the analyst desk. I'm joined by Rusty and Raz. Congratulations to you, Raz. Disappointed for you there, Rusty, because your prediction did not come to fruition. I mean, Tainted Minds, they brought it back. Talk us through the draft, though. I mean, what did you see from them?
I mean, so Tainted Minds put together a team composition that is literally just them, right? So they want to play around neutral objectives. They want to fight specifically on neutral objectives, not the turrets. And they ended up getting all of them in that game. They set themselves up so well for it. The fact that they got that draft is okay. No one's going to pick or ban these things away from them. But Abyss just played into their hands. It was unreal.
Yeah, and exactly. Like, there were numerous positions, numerous times where Abyss has position on these objectives, right? They get the initial position, they get the initial point on Dragon, and the moment they get contested, the moment Tainted Mind's like, okay, we may have lost this position, but we're going to challenge it now, and then Abyss walks away. Like, they get, like, completely, they're afraid, and it really just comes down to the fact that when this happens, they need to be able to force the fight. They need to be able to, like, basically get the flank.
Yeah, Rusty, you were talking there about how T-Gun was not losing his lane during that. Was that unexpected, or is that just like not playing into the strategy you wanted them to?
Yeah, so the initial thought was that was quite unexpected, actually. Abyss's 2v2 bottom lane weren't losing lane to Lost and Rosie, something that usually happens when you play against Tainted Minds. They're just a fantastic 2v2, and expectations are that you just try and hold on, just try and survive, get towards a late game to a team fight type of scenario. But what really happened in this game is Tainted Minds did what I expected Abyss to do, and that was actually get through that laning phase and then team fight. They played it incredibly well, and as you said, you know, the vision control that's set up around these Drakes, if you try to walk into a Jhin, Cassiopeia, Janna composition, usually you're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time.
I mean, backstage when watching this game, you did seem very excited about that Cassiopeia pick, right?
Yeah, the Cassiopeia, like, it's been banned quite frequently, and the reason why, like, I criticize Omni, I think we all criticize Omni's, like, play with Cassiopeia when he uses his ulti, like, it doesn't really show in team fights, but it's not for the team fights, right? It's for the fact that they super prioritize these objectives, especially the Baron. And it comes down to the fact that when they get position on Baron, of course they have Janna too. You can't fight into that. And you really can't. And of course the speed of that Baron, if you don't know that they're doing it, or if you're too late, like a second too late, they will clean it up, and then they'll push the game home.
All right, well, that is the second game of our three-way tiebreaker first round. We're back with Game 3 right after this.